Hey guys, Matt Cleese here from Loon Outdoors. Today we are going to be tying a little Jig Nymph, and you could use this for high sticking or tight line nymph type applications. So in the vise we have a 4640 in size 14 and an appropriately oversized bead. That's up to you. You can go bigger or smaller. This one happens to be a 7/64. Just depends on the rate of depth you want to get. And we're going to be using a Vivus 14-aught brown thread. And we're going to use a little hen saddle for our tail fibers. I pinch off a healthy chunk. It really just depends on the hook size and what I'm trying to go for. Now, because of the size 14 thread, you're going to have a very minimal amount of build on this fly, so it's going to sink faster. So I don't mind doing a few extra back and forth wraps there. We trim off the stem end of the fibers. And next up, we're going to be using some body quill from Vivus. This one happens to be a hot orange, and it's like a micro miniature diamond braid, if you know what that is. And the great thing about this is it's like the size of most threads. So I half it over the thread as it is, and I'll just wrap back, creating a nice smooth body. Now you can see that the body quill is incredibly translucent, and we'll go ahead and rib this also with a small copper brown uni wire. And I like to tie these both in at the same time. I'm actually putting the tip of the uni wire into the bead to help secure the bead and hide the end of it. We'll wrap back up to where we want our thorax to be, create a slight taper, but not too much. Next up, we'll separate the two, and we'll begin by wrapping the body quill forward with touching turns. Now the cool thing is you can see the translucency of the body quill. So once we coat this with a UV resin, the color's really going to change, and it's going to dull it up quite a bit. There's also going to be a little bit more depth to the fly, and I find that to be pretty important when considering my base colors for these types of patterns. So we tie that off. And again, I go overboard on making sure it's secure. So next up, what we'll do is we go ahead and rib the fly. It gives it a cool segmentation look, but the fly is already going to be incredibly durable. It's not going to get chewed up by fish. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and wrap around. You can see I pulled off way too much wire. We'll do a helicopter. Next up is fluorescing flow, or UV clear fly finish. It's in a flow viscosity, and we're going to coat this body. And to use my same analogy as I always do, it's like building a fiberglass fly. So we have a synthetic material with a resin that's going to bind it all together. And you can see that muted out a lot really quick. That's the fluorescing at work there. You can see it starting to pop. It almost glows that white color. And that's going to help color correct that muted orange-brown at depths, because that's filtered out after 5 feet. Next up is a blend. It is some hare's ear and like a rust brown and black ice dub. Now it's just my own little personal dubbing mix that I like to do up. You can vary it any way you see fit to match bugs in your area. So a really small dubbing noodle, and what we'll do here is just create a slight thorax And we're going to leave a little bit of room. That bead's not in its final position. It does need to slide up quite a bit more. And we're going to bring in some hen saddle again for legs. It's got great segmentation and it looks really cool. So I tie these in at the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock position if we were looking down the front of the fly. And that guy's going in at the 9. Now once they're done, we'll trim them off as short as possible. You can see it has a cool leggy profile. You can actually even omit the legs if you want. A lot of the guys who are really serious about getting down into that pocket water with their high stick rigs, they don't put legs on there because it creates more drag once again. So back with more of the dubbing mix, and we're just going to make a few wraps. And I'll go ahead and whip finish. Now this fly is really muted at this point in time, so we need to kick it up a notch. I do like to trim back some of the fibers. Right now I'm just creating a pathway or a nice fine base in which to adhere a wing case to. Now a lot of people think that these ride jig up all the time. I completely don't concur with that theory. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of thin, and really I'm working that down into that dubbing blend to build a solid base for our wing case. And again, hit it with the UV light to cure. Once that's cured up, we're going to come in here with some fly paint. This one happens to be red. You can try yellow and orange as well. Works really cool. So in my studies where I've snorkeled in the rivers, I find even these jig flies tend to rotate around a lot. And even if they are riding the right way with the jig point up, fish are usually eating from below, and bugs don't always swim perfectly level to the rest of the world. So I found that this is a great way for me to be able to keep hook gap while fishing these flies. Hope you guys dig this. Twist a few up in a bunch of different colors. Go out, fish, and enjoy. We'll catch you next time.